taking a week, man. Everybody getting into the... Oh, hello. Is this live? This is live. You people in the non-booth, would you tell me when the live is going to be live? This is their fault. This isn't my fault. None of this is my fault. I voted for Bernie. So, hi, guys. Let's laugh about it. If you're laughing, you're not crying. See? That's how that works. Let's have some good news, okay? Smile while you say it, and it's good news. Here it goes. A little over a week ago, the IRS announced that in a case that even though the law says that churches and pastors cannot endorse candidates over the pulpit, or they might lose their tax exemption status, they don't care. Now, let's be blunt. We knew that. But they've never said that before, right? And so now I got people coming to me and saying, who's the Church of Korihor going to endorse? And nobody. That's still our thing, you know? Nobody else is sticking to this, but we are. We're sticking to this. I mean, we believe in secularism, but I do feel suddenly a lot more relaxed in saying, well, I can at least talk about politics more openly then. And boy, did that come at a good time. Because, vote for Trump, vote for whoever you want. I don't really think that it makes that much of a difference, to be blunt with you. But I just wanted to go live, see if we could tease out some laughs from some of the funnier things that are happening in all this. Now, I'm going to be blunt with you. In fact, here, I'm just going to do this. I had written a whole thing. Let's see here. Share screen. Entire screen. This screen. Share. I had written out a whole script where I was just going to tell jokes about Donald Trump and the Republicans basically promising everybody that they're going to release these Epstein files and then not doing it and then saying, no, do it. You all need to do it, ordering each other to do it while surreptitiously having each other, blocking each other. Oh, we can't do it because, oh, look at that. And I said, let's go really funny. I thought, how am I going to make this funny? I said, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this as the governor. And I wrote a whole script with jokes telling the whole story in the governor's voice. Can I even get into the governor's voice? Let's see. I can't even do it now, okay? Because as I started to read it, I got so, where am I? I got so damn sad that I just wanted to cry again. And I'm like sitting here going through this. I'm like, I can't even tell my jokes that I wrote. And I spent good quality time on that. And so if you are alive in 2025, you know about what happened this week with the Epstein thing. Let's not give the backstory on it. The thing that really was sad, though, and I'm just going to smile through it, is that then we find out that a backroom deal between the people who make Star Trek movies, Skydance, who are acquiring Paramount and CBS and all these, basically made a backroom deal, as it is said, possibly, allegedly. Yeah, thanks, MB. Yeah, basically. We're going to try. Made a backroom deal to basically fire Stephen Colbert. And not only that, but just not replace him with anybody, because who would you replace him with? There are possibilities. There are some great possibilities out there. But anybody would have to be as big a critic of Trump. So they're just going to leave that slot empty now. That's hilarious. So it's like basically we have a government propaganda section that just tells us what we can and cannot laugh at now. That's funny. That's some funny shit. And the question then becomes, how long before it's YouTube? How long before it's Instagram? How long before Zuck? I'm not going to degrade the man's name. No. Mark Zuckerberg, Esquire, elite man, top man. How long before top man sells off the integrity of Instagram Reels, if there was any to begin with? Sorry, Zuckerberg. I'm trying, Marky Mark. I'm trying. The other thing is I said, okay, then I won't do it as the governor. I'll do the jokes as Marky Mark. Hey, you guys. It's me, Mark. You guys know me. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So, yeah, I know. And we're going to laugh, MB. You and me, we may be the only ones, but we're going to laugh at this. We're going to laugh. So here's what I've done. We're not going to tell the whole story. You've heard it. But the best thing to come out of this week, there are multiple good things to come out of this week, and we're going to laugh at some of them. And some of them are connected to this Epstein thing, but they're going to make us cry if we think about them too long. So I mixed them up. I made us a video that's like all mixed up with this Epstein crap and with this and with other things that are happening in the far right world that are less stressful and just kind of ridiculous. And we're going to laugh at it. We're going to laugh at it. Oh, yeah, it's going to be good. No, you're going to like it. No, you're going to like this. You're going to like this. And anybody who wants to come on, there's a link in the description here. I'll go ahead and, I'm going to stop sharing that screen. Anybody who wants to come on, there's a link in the description. You can click and you can come be on the show. Come laugh with me or argue with me. I don't give a crap. I'll put it here in the comments too. You're welcome on the show. We're going to go live for a couple hours. We're just going to laugh at some shit. All right. So the first thing is that today, July 18th, Joe Rogan turned on Donald Trump. He had done it before, but he really did it today in pretty epic style. And he did it with a Christian minister who also happens to be a Democrat member of the Texas legislature on his program. And we're gonna do a little watchy watch. We're gonna do a little watchy watch. Joe Rogan, as you remember, do I have to explain this? No, it's funny. Watch.
The cynical perspective is that at the highest levels, it's all being controlled by money, and that's not going to change. You know, like the people that were very hopeful for change when Trump got into office, one of the things that everyone was promised was you're going to find out the Epstein client list, and you're going to find out who killed JFK and what the UFOs are all about. You haven't heard a fucking peep out of any of that shit.
Yeah.
No one knows nothing. And today they just finally said there's no client list, there's no videos. I mean, I had Kash Patel. These people, Kash came on the podcast and said there's nothing that you want to see. You know, he's got
nothing you need to see.
Dan Bongino, who's always like shouting from the rooftops, we're going to get to the bottom of this and find out who these people are. Everyone's saying, no, Epstein killed himself. No, nothing to see here. And it's like, okay, well, that's why people are cynical. People are cynical because you had all this hope for change. And then you realize, like, the same people that are pulling the strings are still pulling the strings.
Well, and it doesn't help when there are videos of the president, hanging around with
and everybody else, including Nobel Prize winning scientists.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Excellent. So, I mean, just apparently my headphones are not working. It's just a funny, right? Is it like you spend all your time and effort trying to get a guy elected. He gets elected for like the one thing that you most were calling for him to do, he doesn't do. He does the opposite. And for reasons that certainly don't mean anything that everybody knows that they mean. Watch this for a second. And then watch how Joe Rogan fantastically and amazingly and with absolutely no self-awareness whatsoever continues to push conspiracy theories while blaming Trump for not exposing his favorite conspiracy theory.
It's not just limited.
Yeah, I mean, it's that whatever that compromise organization was, whatever that thing was that they were running, whatever this game was, that I'm sure they're running another version of it right now, where they provide experiences to people that have a very difficult time, getting out there and having their fun.
Okay. That's not what the organization did. It's not a charity. Jeffrey Epstein hooked up rich people with opportunities to do things that were illegal for good reason. And they hurt people, hurt innocent people. There were lawsuits. There were criminal charges. There were testimonies. There were depositions. It wasn't that a service that you provide to guys who are geeky and didn't have, let's say Bill Gates is a part of it. I'm not saying that he is, but let's say he was a part of it. Bill Gates married a supermodel and was married to her for 40 years or something. So it's like, it's not exactly like these people. Maybe, they say that some scientists were involved, maybe Stephen Jay Gould, I think, or somebody like that. I don't think so though, but I don't know. And if he was, shame on him. And what exactly were they doing? Well, that is a good, we would know if you would release the damn files. And now they're claiming they have all of this video of things that Jeffrey Epstein, et cetera, were doing and everything, but they can't release them because it's boring. Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing, it turns out, because now all of a sudden, very hardcore MAGA people are turning on their own man. And it's a little bit satisfying. If it weren't so disgusting, it would be, it's just a little bit satisfying. It's like, yeah, do that. Fight. It's like, you just want to put them into the ring and just kind of go shoulder to shoulder. Everybody, just fight. Go on. Show us what you're made of. Go on. And it's a little blood sport, and I'm here for it.
And then they compromise them. I think it's a time-honored tactic of control. It's been around forever.
Yep.
And
the wildest thing now is how somebody who is wrong all the time will say something that's actually true. It's like, this is a time-honored tactic. And look, it's not only despots and dictators who have employed it. If you're in control, you put the stop on the message. You stop the pulse on messages you don't want to get out. And you run interference. You make people, let me close some windows, man, see if I can get my bandwidth up. You do things to make sure that other people don't see the things that you don't want to talk about. And then you wait it out until there's a shiny new ball that distracts them. And then you don't talk about it. And then everybody who goes on to talk about the thing that's not the shiny ball, they look like they're obsessed with this thing. It's like, you're obsessed with the thing. It's done. It's over. It's gone now. Yes, we don't know what happened. And then they look like they're nuts. True. Democrats do it. Republicans do it. Everybody does it. This is a time-honored thing. But this Jeffrey Epstein thing, thank you for letting me know, MB. But this Jeffrey Epstein thing, Trump called it the guy who said this guy will never die, which of course now it's going to be the new thing. Oh, is he saying that Jeffrey Epstein is Jesus? Is he come back? We have Jeffrey Epstein back. Apparently he's worse Jesus, even worse than the first Jesus. But now, but it's true that this guy's been gone for 5 years now. But he went missing. He passed during Donald Trump's administration. While he was in prison during Donald Trump's administration, and they still blamed it on the Clintons. and it's just lived on and on and on. Why has it lived on and on? He's used it. Donald Trump has used it as a cudgel, as a political cudgel for 4 years, that, Biden's never going to release all of these, which is true. Biden never released all of the documents. We can go on to that, to why, but there was a legal process that was being followed. And who knows? Maybe, Merrick Garland could have circumvented the system and just said, no, you can just publish those and just, here they are. But, there's some powerful people, obviously, who have worked to make sure that these documents remain under seal. And Donald Trump coming in and saying, I'm going to be the guy who releases all of that, sounds really great for election rhetoric, which the guy just never finished. He never stopped campaigning. And it was so for 4 years, we got, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it until he gets into office and says, boy, it's going to ruin a lot of lives if that gets out. And it ruffled some of their feathers. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And then all of a sudden, they were all like, they were all questioning things they didn't realize they didn't realize. And so, yeah, but they're still pushing the same story.
Obviously it works. Look, if you have so much interest in getting to the bottom of this, like universally on both sides of the aisle, and yet nothing gets done, that tends to give people this fear that cynicism is the correct perspective.
And I want to validate that there is reason and good reasons to.
Boy, this guy is trying hard. I just mentioned this guy's name. Oh, I forget his name and I don't have it pulled up. This Democrat from Texas is trying hard to get his ass reelected in Texas right now. You may be a Democrat, but you're a Texas Democrat. And you got to get your ass reelected. You got to walk this one carefully, right?
Disillusioned.
Mm-hmm.
I guess all I'm pushing back on is that second step of it's always going to be this way.
Right. It doesn't have to be
right.
this way.
That is the key step.
Right.
So I'm
that's
not on.
You need to run for president.
Yeah.
Smile, 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 smile. No. That's no. I'm going to just say a thing, and it's not an endorsement of any candidate, even though apparently now under the Trump era IRS rules, I can do that now. I'm a spiritual leader of the Church of Korihor, and we believe in secularism. Anybody who's coming in, thank you, welcome, nice to see you. There's a link in the description and in the comments. I'll put it up again, so in case anybody wants to join in. We're having a good time. And I'm not even drunk. I don't even know why I'm putting these on. Can't seem to connect them for whatever reason. Anyway. This is how we got into this mess. Is people saying, I don't know, it is 20 years, 25 years of the shit kicker philosophy of politics, of saying, oh, I don't know, he's kind of like one of me. He's like one of us, and we'll probably be able to drink a beer with him. He's trying to stay sober. He's a recovering alcoholic, George W. Bush. He's a recovering alcoholic. I don't care. Donald Trump famously says he doesn't drink. I don't care. He's the kind of guy I could drink an old duels with. This is how we ended up here, people. We don't just elect people that we like the face or we like what they have to say. I just missed the day when who the president was like, when an announcement from the White House was the most boring news in the world. Do you remember that? Even in the hubbub of the 1990s. Do you remember when in the 1990s, some of you are too young to remember this, but let's face it, and probably not most. In the 90s, all people could talk about for the longest time was Bill Clinton's penis. And it's like, let's talk about this. What about this Hillary? Does she really, what about Monica? And then what about this? It was all about what happened. And then the White House would go live with a press briefing. Nobody was covering it. I mean, they would cover it and they would report from it, but who cares? And it was nobody stopped their day for it unless they dropped a bomb on somebody. And it's like, for the most part, like, are they going to get up there and pretend like the president's best friend or good friend doesn't have a secret list of all of the people who've been on his secret island? Who else yearns for the day when presidential politics and presidential news was boring? I miss it when it was boring.
Need someone who's actually a good person.
I'm going to just go ahead and push back on that. That's the end of that clip. And then we're going to go on to something else entirely. No, we don't. He doesn't have to be a good person. Do I think that Barack Obama was a spectacular person? I do not. Frankly, I don't. Did I vote for him? Yes, I did. Do I think that Bernie Sanders is a terrific person? I do. Do I think that makes him a better candidate than Kamala Harris? I do not. I don't care. I really don't. I don't think his quality as a person is that high of a standard, because my standard of what a good person is miles apart from anybody else's, and I don't want that to be a part of what makes the rules in our country. Is it our country? Is it a country? Has this transformed into a completely failed state? That's a question. Are we existing in a failed state and a failed economy right now? I would like to know. But if you were going to vote for the best guy in the world, what to be president, it just has to be a really good guy? What should we elect? Ryan Reynolds? Ryan Gosling? We'll just find out what's in their baggage. Apparently, there's something in Ryan Reynolds. I won't bring it up just in case I ever meet the guy. It's just, don't vote for people you like. Vote for people who are qualified to do the job. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with vote for somebody who knows what he's doing or she's doing and will do a good job? Whatever happened to that? Because to be honest with you, I feel like that kind of was a thing at one point, but I don't remember seeing it. Maybe it wasn't.
I just got done changing the...
Okay. All right. Oh, yes. Total break. We're taking a break from that because honestly, I'm feeling like that sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, and we need a break from this whole stupid Epstein thing. So this is Ammon Bundy. You guys remember him?
Truck. Well, I wouldn't call it my truck. I guess.
So this guy is the Mormon despot, Mormon tin pot dictator. You guys remember back a few years ago, they had that big standoff in Nevada, and all these people came from all over the country because shit kicker flyover country beacon bat signal had gone up, and we gonna go with the Bureau of Land Management, right, etc. And this guy is Cliven Bundy's son, Ammon Bundy, the same guy who then led an insurrection during the Obama administration, led an insurrection against the federal government at a bird reserve in the Pacific Northwest. And they stormed a building that was mostly unoccupied or entirely unoccupied with arms. And not these arms, but these arms. Stormed the place, took possession of it. And the FBI got involved because, well, they took over a federal building for whatever reason. Turns out the reason was that federal agents had been mounting charges, I believe, or collecting evidence or making a demand for, I don't remember the exact details now. I didn't realize I was going to talk about it in this detail. But they had been collecting the case, making the case against one of Ammon Bundy's friends for basically arson, for spreading wildfires. And really what he claims what they were doing was abating wild animals, and they said, well, this is a protected area, this is a protected reserve, you can't do that. And basically the case that was made by a bunch of Mormon insurrectionists was, well, I don't know that all of them were Mormons, but a lot of them were, and especially Ammon Bundy and some of his close personal friends, one of whom died in the shootout with federal authorities. And that's going to become a thing here. Okay. And in just trying to do something with this bird reserve. You remember the funniest thing? I think it was that while these right wingers do insurrection really badly, for people who talk about it all the time and plan for it all the time, they're kind of crap at it. They took no medicine, they took no water, they took no food to occupy a building. This is when you start to look around and go, is anybody here served in the armed forces? Because I have never served in the forces. And I know that if you're going to occupy somewhere, you bring or secure water and food and medicine first so that you can hold out. They didn't. So then they put up an appeal to their family members and friends. Please send them at this bird reserve at this address. Please, put into the USPS or the UPS, care packages, because we're really hungry and we didn't think we were going to have to hold this place once we held it. And people started sending them like packages. If I remember correctly, I may be missing. This may be a fantasy of mine, but as I remember people sending them orders from those like Bag of Dicks websites. Remember, like Bag of Dicks, you could send somebody like a plastic bag full of like gummies shaped like penises, and you say, "Here, eat a bag of dicks." The people were sending them those. That's right, they weren't Boy Scouts. So, anyways, this is that guy, okay? And I've been covering him. I've been watching him pretty carefully because his attorney defending him in that case, who got him acquitted from federal charges, which is remarkable, and maybe not so remarkable. It definitely shows that our criminal justice system is in need of some updates. His boy Morgan Philpott is a guy I sometimes refer to as Mormon Crackpot. He goes around the world. He's been to Australia. I think he's been to Europe. But he's definitely up and down the valley here in Utah, giving talks to Mormons where they read the Book of Mormon and use the numbers in the Book of Mormon to lay out the mathematical, gematria or whatever for how many years and days and months it's going to be before Jesus comes back and the government and everything will collapse. Well, it turns out it's not Jesus. It may be someone else who causes the collapse. Anyways, this is the guy, Ammon Bundy. In case you're not, I'll catch you up as we watch. Watch this.
Gotta call it St. Luke's truck. This truck basically has been.
This was posted if not today, the day before. I'm pretty sure it was today. I'm guessing by the look behind him, he's either in southern Nevada or in southern Utah. If you don't know, so he ran for governor of Idaho a few years back. While he was running for governor of Idaho, he was running a website that was raking in millions of dollars, allegedly, of mostly Mormon, but also other sundry far-righters, patriots who were paying him to basically be a part of a secret network, an exclusive network of people talking about the end of the world and how they were going to get, how the world is going to be shaped when the Joseph Smith's white horse prophecy gets fulfilled. The Constitution hangs by a thread, and the elders of Zion will be called in to resurrect everything, and Council of 50 out with democracy, in with the theocracy. And this is what they were doing, right? They were catastrophizing about the end of the world, basically same kind of thing as a voice of warning, which is the network that Chad and Lori Daybell got really big and popular in back when they were plotting to take out some zombies, the zombie apocalypse in the living room. And so, sorry, not funny. Anyways, this is that guy's, he had his own website for that. And at the same time, he was running a campaign for governor of Idaho while he lived there, and lived in this big mansion. It's like something like $5 million mansion, something like this. And like a ranch or what have you. So he's got some dough, and he's up there. He's running this website, and one of the people involved, at the same time, he's running a patriotic front group that's totally separate. And the guy who's running this Patriot Front group, his baby, his child was a little baby called Cyrus. You may have heard of this. They called it the baby Cyrus thing. And they took him. He wasn't eating, and he was unwell. This little baby. It's a sad story part of this part. They took him to the hospital to get treatment, and then the hospital, as I understand it, the hospital wouldn't release him until CPS came out and checked him out and determined if he should even come home with his parents, because his state of malnutrition was suspiciously bad. Now, we could go back and forth all day. What do we not know about how CPS is handling things out there? And if you've ever had dealings with an agency like DCFS or CPS, there's plenty of blame to go around. That's not the point. The point is the way they responded to this situation of baby Cyrus was the wrong way, which is basically they rallied the Patriots, because it had been a while since they'd gotten out to do anything, and held a picketing event around this medical center, St. Luke's. And they shut down traffic in and out of this clinic. So people who had appointments and people who had urgent care, medical care that they needed couldn't get through. And it was bad, shall we say. Long story short, he got charges pressed against him, and eventually, let me back up. St. Luke's won a case against him, basically litigating that he had caused harm to these people, and to people seeking care in their facilities, and then emotional distress and so forth, to the doctors, nurses, and staff at this hospital. And so, they had basically staged a coup on a hospital. And it's like, okay, did this get your ends accomplished here? Is there anybody in charge over there who does any thinking at all? The whole thing was such a ridiculous farce. And then he thought that by refusing to show up to court, he could put a stop to it. Well, that's not the way it works, Ammon boy. That's not the way it works. They went ahead and had the case, and they brought him in. They forced him to sit there. And, they had him arrested at least a couple of times, I believe, allegedly. And at the end of the day, they wound up taking him for everything he was worth, meaning they got into the Patriot group. They got into his campaign funds for his campaign for governor. And they got into this website and found out how much money he was actually worth, and come to find out he's basically using these companies and his real estate holdings, and et cetera, as ways to spread his wealth around. You figure, you put your money into an LLC, that way that, if you get into trouble, nobody can come after it. I can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation with people to say, that's just not true. It's not true. And so they basically took him for all that he was worth. It was some judgment. It was multiple millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. And he basically, in the long run, he fled the state, came here to Utah because we need more of these guys, and allegedly, started working for his brothers. One of his brothers, I believe, owns a trucking company, and started living in their attic and so forth. While the government was basically, the the powers that be in Idaho were basically seizing his assets. In the process to try and save what he has left in the world, he starts live streaming from his YouTube account, telling all the world about how St. Luke's is coming after him and his poor family. What do they want with my children's clothes, you perverts? And it's like, because they went into his house and said, wow, this is a big fancy house for a guy who claims he has no money, which he claimed he has no money. And they're like, okay, so we're definitely taking this house, but can they take a house where the guy lives? Well, he owns a whole bunch of real estate, right? So it's like this whole thing starts litigating. He comes to Utah to hide out, figuring that Idaho won't send somebody to arrest him. Turns out, at least for the most part, as far as I know, that turns out to be true. That may be, I have to look into some of the claims he makes here. That may not be true. It may actually be that they did finally send somebody to arrest him. But he is just basically on the lam here in Utah, and he files for bankruptcy. And basically everything that an attorney would tell you, do not do that, he's doing. He goes live, he starts talking, he reveals like the names of the judges involved in his cases. He announces the people who are suing him and so forth. And now that he is in bankruptcy, he is regularly posting videos that would make any attorney. I'm not an attorney, but I've known enough to know this guy's, they're like, that if he has any attorneys left, which I don't think he does, they're like pulling their hair out. And this is one of
the
them.
Litigation, and somehow I've been able to hang on to it, saving my wife's car. Anyway, which has been a great blessing for us. But I decided I better change the oil again to keep it going. So you can thank me later, Chris Roth.
Chris Roth is the CEO of St. Luke's. Basically, this is his. Again, we got this shit kicker virtue that playing out here. He's basically saying he got down and dirty, got his hands dirty, knows how to change his own oil on the F-350.
St. Luke's. You can thank me later for changing the oil in this truck, keeping it maintained and taken care of. And anyway, I'm in a jail cell, right? They roughed me up a little bit, trying to.
Now he's talking about time that he was arrested. I still haven't dug deep enough to find out if this is when he's arrested in Idaho or if he has been arrested since in Nevada or southern Utah, where his family are a big deal. The Bundys, they go back, right? They are Mormon establishment. They in the cattle ranching world. His brothers have a or his family at least have a Brazilian steakhouse in St. George. I don't know how popular it is. People say, I remember driving past it and you could smell it, and people would say, yeah, you can smell it like all the way down the street, but like any Brazilian steakhouse. But apparently they use their dad's slaughtered cattle there. I dove really deep into like all of the scams that the Bundys are involved in, and it's like it's shocking. It's shocking how many numerous ways they have been basically trying to steal money from the taxpayer, steal money from their fellow citizens, and rip people off. Like, these guys have never seen a scam they didn't like. So, yeah.
Prove how tough they are, and threw me in jail cell. And I'm pretty bothered about the whole thing. I've been, just the way they did it. And, I've been arrested several times, and I'm just pleading with the Lord, asking him, how is this all going to pan out? What's going to happen here? And anyway, the thought of bankruptcy came in my mind, and then I felt this peace, this strong peace that only God can give you. And thought it was very interesting, because never in my life I thought I'd go bankrupt. And in fact, I'm in bankruptcy now, in the middle of it, not because of financial decisions that I've made, because of wicked people attacking me. But anyway, this process has been interesting, because they did a default judgment against me in Idaho because I didn't participate. But then they had some crazy punitive damage trial. Well, they try to use this punitive damage trial to convince the bankruptcy court that I had maliciously hurt the defendant or the plaintiffs, St. Luke's. And
okay, I'm not an attorney. I'm not even a certified paralegal. I just do a little bit of paralegal work, uncertified, which is not illegal. So don't nobody go looking for me. I do a little legal assistance, and I can tell you this, and I have filed for bankruptcy. I'm not ashamed to admit, fuck those guys. Bankruptcy is not litigation. You have in the process of bankruptcy, you have discharge of debts, and the people you owe money to can challenge them. That's not the same thing as, oh, well, we took each other to court, which would be litigation. So we're suing each other. No, you're not suing each other. These people are coming after their money that you do owe Ammon. You owe it, and saying he's got money, he can pay for it. He doesn't need to file for bankruptcy. You can discharge his credit cards, but $50 million or whatever it is now. We want it. We want it fair and square, and we want it. He's got it. We want it, and so that's going to happen. It's not a strange thing. That's not strange. Banks send people to bankruptcy court over $1,000 credit card you still owe on. Say you still owes us on this $1,000 credit card, and we want it. Not as much these days, probably, but they still do. It's it's not litigation. He uses the wrong words for all of this, but yeah, okay. He's saying St. Luke, surprise, surprise, still wants their millions of dollars they won in summary judgment, that they won in punitive damages. And then he's saying, now he's going back to, I can't believe they had a case for punitive damages, that they tried for punitive damages. What the hell did you think they were going to do, guy? That's pretty normal. That's pretty normal. That actually is litigation. As far as parties. Allegedly.
And basically they said that the only reason why I advocated for baby Cyrus, the only reason why it was to hurt them.
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Then in the lawsuit side, they said the reason why I advocated for baby Cyrus is to get money and to get gain. So that's what they're saying. They're saying that I
love all this Liberty jail
gain,
talk.
and I intentionally tried to hurt them. There was
me
no
and my
other
brother
reason.
Hiram.
I was doing what I was doing. And another thing I just heard, it just blows me away, is Judge Baskin wrote some things. She's an Idaho judge there. She was over the trial, and she says that no reasonable person would believe that Ammon Bundy did what he did for any other reason than to maliciously harm the plaintiffs.
I'm glad they did. They said it, so I don't have...
even my enemies, even those who hate me, could see that I was advocating for that baby to get home to his mother and his father.
Dear Ammon Bundy, how are you? Joe Rollins here. We do not. You and your paramilitary group of weirdo, whacked out Mormons, etc., needed a project. You wanted to run your militia, Jesus freak fever dream insurrection idea in a real life scenario, and chose a hospital or medical clinic. That's what happened. Okay. And you did it because your boys were getting antsy and you had to pick a target, and you weren't going to win for governor anyway. Probably. Allegedly. That's what happened. And yes, I can see that you thought that you could play off of the idea that you were saving this baby Cyrus's life. I will give you enough room, sir, to be able to say, maybe this baby shouldn't have been taken from his parents. Maybe this baby had a loving home and he wasn't being purposely malnourished. He was just sick. And that's totally plausible. I'm willing to go that far and just believe it out of hand. Just give you and this little baby's family and parents the benefit of a doubt. But this was the absolute worst possible way to go about doing something about it. You could have hired a lawyer. You had plenty of money to do that. You could have gone to court and made the case to get the baby back or to keep the baby from being taken from his parents. You could have done any number of these things. You could have gone to the press saying and made the case that this child shouldn't be taken from his parents, even if he is malnourished. You could do any number of things that didn't involve preventing patients from seeing their physicians and seeing and getting medical treatment. And for somebody in a court of law to come out and say, you did this specifically to cause harm because these people pay you to be their leader. It's not, it's to say that that's just crazy is a lie. That's not crazy. It's common sense. I'm the one doing common sense now.
But she said there's no other reason, but I just did it to hurt them. I mean, that's how crazy the trial was and how crazy this court is. And, you know, Joseph Baskin, I'm sure you'll hear this message at some point, but that is the most ridiculous statement I have ever heard. Some organization in California, some liberal wacko organization out there. And, but he's got a decent amount of influence, and they called him as a special witness and said that I was in a firefight with law enforcement. I mean, that's what the things, and then they talked about me being a white supremacist and promoting, all these crazy things. I mean, Baby Cyrus is half Hispanic. I mean, he's a mixed race. I just thought it was funny because my daughter, the same time he's calling me basically a racist, he didn't use that terminology, but he did use anti-Semitic and a few other terms. But basically he's calling me a white supremacist or a racist. My daughter is literally, one of her friends is from Haiti. She's black. And she was over at her house, playing with her and enjoying her. And later I was going to pick her up, and anyway, it's just crazy stuff.
Agency. I've seen a horsefly. I've seen a dragonfly. Hell, I've seen a housefly. Did I say that one already? What I've never seen fly is I'm not a racist because my daughter has a black friend. No. I'm not a racist because I know a baby who has at least one parent who is Latino. I mean, that just took it to the next, that took it to the next level. That took it to the next level. You know what I'm saying? But but I ain't never seen, never mind. Not going to go there. Not going to quote those movies. So it's amusing to me to see this man actually name call his own judges in these cases, as if that hasn't all gotten him into trouble in the past already. He really is just leaning on the security that he thinks he's lost everything. And now he obviously must think that I believe, it is in my belief, that Ammon Bundy thinks he is untouchable to the law at this point in time. And I'm a little perturbed to find that as I've been tracking him these 6 months about, it appears to be somewhat true. And it's just a little bit baffling. It's like you can do this, you can cause this harm to people, and then you can simply say, I don't know, you can't catch me, and flee the state and just get away with it. Hey, Hallie, we're talking about everything except for Epstein, except that we're not. We're about to get back to it, and we're trying to laugh. So yeah, I think this is here's the end of this.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, that's the end of that. Okay, back into the
Great
shit.
is the American people of the world that have a great desire.
You guys remember this guy, right? That's good old Alex Jones. Oh, yes. Guys, remember this? Apparently, of all the disappointing things I don't realize I missed in the news, learned today that The Onion didn't actually buy InfoWars when it was auctioned off after Alex Jones. Does anybody get into legal trouble anymore? I mean, like, I don't think everybody should be in legal trouble, but does anybody get into legal trouble? It's kind of like how I got excommunicated. You need to see the letter? I'll show you the letter. Don't look at my messy office. Here's the letter. I got excommunicated for apostasy. And there are these Mormons out here talking about that we all have the same heavenly mother. Not excommunicated. Does anybody get in trouble but me? Is it only me? I don't know. I don't know anymore. We've got Mormon apologists, making fun of Michelle Stone for being a polygamy denier. I grant you that's funny. Sort of. It's infuriatingly funny. But what isn't these days? What isn't these days? And then saying things like, we think maybe the real president of the church is President Newsroom and not President Nelson sometimes. And it's like, I'm sorry. Isn't that our line? Does nobody get in trouble anymore? And then did he? But did he? Apparently did he not? What? Does anyone get in trouble anymore? Is there any law at all? Was it always a farce? So, Alex Jones was right alongside Donald Trump all throughout the campaign talking about how he is going to release the Epstein files when he finally takes back the reins of government. Let us see how that's working out so far.
And Trump is a manifestation of us pushing to have a free, decent, common sense, pro-God, pro-family, pro-country system.
Stop everything. Stop everything right now. Hallie, thank you for reminding me. I was telling the story. So he talks about how Ammon Bundy talks about how a special witness was called in to the case to talk about how he was dangerous to this hospital in Idaho. And that this special witness had come in to say, that this is the same guy that in this bird reserve insurrection that they eventually gave up on, because it turns out occupying an unoccupied federal building in the middle of nowhere to make a statement is not exactly Napoleonic stratagem. And they decided to bail on it. Imagine that. They decided to make a run for it. So they got into some SUVs and they ran right through the midst of FBI agents who were armed. When the FBI agents, lo and behold, had a plan for that, these Mormon insurrectionists are not, I could be facetious, but I'm just going to say it plain, because it's been that kind of week. They are not great strategists. Like, if this were Stratego, if this were Risk, these guys have all their units on Madagascar. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. These guys have all their units on Madagascar and Siberia. And their strategy is that they're going to pray to the Lord that Alma and Amulek style, he's going to release them from their problems. Well, suffice it to say, the FBI had thought of that. Hey, what if these guys get in their SUVs and try to run? So they didn't make it far. And there was this guy named Robert Lavoie. Is it Rob Lavoie or Ron Lavoie? Yeah, Robert Lavoie Finicum, who was one of Ammon Bundy's friends. He bails from the SUV. Bundy gives himself up. He's a dummy, but he's not that big of a dummy, allegedly. But Lavoie, he makes a run for it. The FBI agents chase him. He can't run forever. And when he turns around to face them, he has his hand in his pocket. They tell him, take your hand out of your pocket. He doesn't, or he doesn't do it right. They shoot him. He go down. He not live. He gone. He gone from this world. And turns out he had a gun in his pocket. And and then, believe it or not, Ammon Bundy was blamed for it because the family's like, you did this. You were responsible for this man's death. You did this. And the guy who represented Ammon Bundy is this guy, Morgan Philpott, who I jokingly, Morgan, refer to as Mormon Crackpot. This is now the guy who's going up and down the valley here in Utah, has been to Gilbert, Arizona, that I have seen, has been to Australia, and I believe he's been to Europe. I can't say that for certain. So I'd heard something about this. And Mormons are paying like $100 and more a head to get into to hear this guy read like First and Second Nephi and Ether and stuff, and pull up slides of the 12-headed eagle of whatever, and talk about and measure out by the years of the reigns of the judges and the years of the reigns of the kings and the Lamanites and the Nephites. This is when Jesus comes back, and then what's going to happen is he predicted that Donald Trump wouldn't take office last year. He predicted, I saw him do it. He will pretend he didn't. I saw him do it. He predicted that Donald Trump would win the election, but he wouldn't take office because he would be extracted from this world. Well, that turned out not to be the case. Guess what? He's still out there pushing more of the stuff. And these Mormons are paying for it. They're paying to hear it. That's the guy that got Bundy off on both the Lavoie Finicum, as I recall anyways. I don't have all my notes in front of me. As I recall anyways. And also in the federal charges. It's just, and last I heard, I saw one interview he did. It was on Rumble. Don't trust anything you see on Rumble. But apparently he let his legal practice lapse recently, and that would make sense since he basically says that anybody who practices as a lawyer or a judge in America right now is a Gadianton robber, and anybody in government is a Gadianton robber. So, anyways, so that's that boy. Should we talk about Alex Jones right now? Anyways, but Finicum, his family, they got nothing out of that.
That said, to try to even describe what has happened the last 9 days since the Sunday before last is mind-blowing. And as we sit here on this Tuesday live July 15th transmission, all that really matters at the end of the day is our integrity.
Oh, yes.
That we ourselves be true.
Oh, had all this hope for change.
Oh, shit. And sorry. I screwed it all up. Yes. But anyways, as we all know, that famous InfoWars integrity, it must be maintained. It must be maintained.
To try to even describe what has happened the last 9 days since
Sunday
before last is mind-blowing. And as we sit here on this Tuesday live July 15th transmission, all that really matters at the end of the day is our integrity, that we ourselves be true. And it was all precipitated really 2 months ago when Elon Musk left and said, here's the next big bomb to drop. Trump is in the Epstein files, and that's why you'll never see them. And I reserved judgment then. I said, wow, it goes against Elon's interest to, pull out of the administration and, do all of this. And we know it was Susie Wiles and others and Gore who were instrumental in that. That's now been confirmed. They've bragged about it. So So I can unpack everything that's happened, and I'm going to do that first. But then I'm going to lay out my message directly to Trump.
Okay. This is why it's so beautiful to me as an ex-Mormon, as an ex-Christian, as an ex-conservative. Yes, even I. Yes, even me. It was a long time ago. I voted for Bush in 2004. I regret it ever since. Now John Kerry is coming out and saying, the Republicans were right about Democrats and their policies on immigration. It's like, is anyone on my side out here? Fine, I'll stand by myself. Anyways, is to watch the cognitive dissonance, to watch this man's version of, we don't know what Joseph and Fanny did in that barn. We don't know. That's a second-hand account, third-hand account. To watch that happening now with Trump and Epstein is just wild. It's just wild. It's like, can anything convince you people? Sorry for saying it, but you people.
At this point, because I've been waiting, and I've been hopeful, but I'm also a realist. And so now at this point,
I mean, did anybody need to be told that? Did anybody need to be told that? If there's anything we know about Alex Jones, it is his famous realism. Just a straight shooter, pragmatic guy. Just a guy who calls balls and strikes, just calls them like he sees them. That's what Alex Jones is known for.
Really nothing to do but to just go ahead and call a spade, and that's what I do. I call balls and strikes. So,
absolutely. That, if anything, hello, 8 viewers, is Mormon discussions over already? The link is in the description if you want to join and laugh with me. Here, I'll copy it and put it in the comments. Otherwise, I talk to myself. You think I won't do it? I do it all day. You should see the looks I get at the grocery store. Seriously, ask people.
Here's a recap. Jeffrey Epstein, on record, was connected to MI6 through Maxwell's father, his late
So that I don't get taken down for misinformation, he was not. He was not. Jeffrey Epstein was a British secret agent, was connected to British intelligence. Like I'm connected to Marriott and might be a secret owner of Marriott, JW Marriott hotels because I stayed in a Marriott. That's about how connected Jeffrey Epstein is to British intelligence.
Record Mossad MI6. And he took over the family business after he died in the 90s. And he went from nowhere to billions of dollars in private jets and palaces all over the world, and billions of dollars in his bank account. Right when he was killed 5 years ago during the Trump administration in that federal detention center in New York, over $2 billion was sucked out of his bank account the next week. That's admitted, but no one ever says, well,
I'm not saying that I know for a fact that Jeffrey Epstein was not done in. But the evidence so far still points to he did himself. He did himself. And why? You know why. You know why. But maybe I'm wrong. Let's say I'm wrong. They haven't made the case for that he wasn't. And now even the Trump administration is trying to come out and say, no, he did himself in. That's how that worked. And, even people who were gung-ho for this theory that no, Hillary snuck in there. She has the keys to everything. She could get to everything from cosmic. I don't know what the hell all the things they believe are, but okay, he did himself. So let's not get false news flagged for promoting this. He's wrong, probably, allegedly.
And then it becomes really a campaign staple of Trump, because almost all the names of people involved are top globalists and Democrats. And so it became a staple with the surrogates and others that we were going to get, the Epstein file, and the deep state would be prosecuted, not just for the human trafficking with Epstein, but the 350,000 children in the Senate report last year and all the rest of it that were smuggled in via Mayorkas. And I'm
Okay. The truth clarification. Jeffrey Epstein had a girlfriend named Ghislaine Maxwell. She had a father named Robert Maxwell. His last name was also Maxwell. That's how her name comes to be Maxwell. Everything else here is a lie.
seeing Tom Homan and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and others deliver, and I think they're very good people, and we see a lot of great folks around Trump, so that was very encouraging. But then about 2 months ago, Kash Patel, the FBI director, and the deputy director Bongino went on Fox, like during the headlights, like prisoners, like hostages, and said, actually, crooks acted alone in Pennsylvania on July 13th, a year ago in 2 days, and Epstein killed himself, and we're going to show you the video of it, and he was acting alone. He really wasn't a human trafficker, and basically never even jaywalked. And that blew up in their face, and then they went on a tour on Joe Rogan and other shows reporting the same crap.
Okay. That part's true. As far as I know, that part is true. I didn't see everything that happened there and that, but yes. Okay. Alex Jones said a true thing. Even a stopwatch is right twice a day.
Contravention of everything that Pam Bondi was saying, and we had whistleblowers that first told us, like O'Boyle in March, that the FBI, the Clintons and the Obamas with Comey had hidden the real files, 14 terabytes of child rape, hundreds of new victims, she said, in New York. They wouldn't turn it over, so the FBI raided itself and got that. We confirmed by FBI sources that it was sent out to the FBI offices around the country for investigation. And then 8-9 days ago, 2 Sundays ago, the Trump DOJ puts out a memo that's leaked, was later confirmed to be theirs. They admitted the next day, saying, yeah, Epstein killed himself, and there was no blackmail, and there was no human trafficking, and case is closed.
Okay. I haven't seen this memo, but as far as I'm aware, it doesn't say that there was no human trafficking. It is a well-established fact that Jeffrey Epstein was engaged in human trafficking. So, but I can't say because I haven't seen it in the memo and I haven't taken the time to look at it. Right? So it's just always a gem to see good old Alex Jones. We're getting to the end of this segment. We're going to get back to the moment where he has a special appeal to Donald Trump. Now that Donald Trump has called him and other supporters, his words, not mine, stupid for chasing this Epstein story. But we're going to break it up with something funny so that we don't cry. So we laugh and not cry. So here we go.
It flies in the face of the criminal cases, the witnesses, and all the rest of it. And then everybody said, oh, that's Pam Bondi out of her skis. And that was the talking point. And I said, no, it's Trump. And a day later, he put out on Truth Social that he was the one behind it. And then he also gave a press conference. And then Trump, a few hours ago, about 4 or 5 hours ago, on the tarmac with Lednick,
on Tuesday,
gets asked about it. And he says, anybody that asks about this is part of fake news, basically working with Comey and all of them, and Brennan and Clapper. This, I don't know anybody cares about this. This is really, really stupid. Well, just from the Streisand effect level, we had them for years saying they're going to bring it out. Then 8 days ago saying they're not, there's nothing there, the file doesn't exist. To then Trump last week saying, well, the file exists, but it's disinformation from the deep state. And then he doubles, triples down, 180, 180, 180, 180, back and forth. Every time a reporter asked him about it, and Lutnick, really the body language, when you roll the B-roll, it looks like he's hooked up to electricity, just like the press secretary, everybody else when this is brought up, just like Bongino and Patel look totally freaked out when they're told to go out and do this. And of course, it's coming from Trump. And of course, it's admitted it came from Trump. And I said last Monday, 8-9 days ago, I said, this is Trump. People said, you're a traitor. No, it's Bondi. It's Trump now. He admits that. So we could say, is Elon Musk right? Is there something bad in there? I think the Democrats would have used it before. No, I think there's a bunch of powerful people Trump's made deals with, like Bill Gates and others, to get off his back.
Okay. We have to prep to get into this. So the thing that's happening, not funny. The effects inside the Red Hat crowd, very funny. Very funny. A little bit disheartening. A lot disheartening, but funny. And we have to laugh. We have to laugh. That's right. He's having a hard time. Alex is having a hard time. Give him a break. Leave Alex Jones alone. Okay. Now I want to introduce you all to Melanie Hines. And to do that, I have to tell you a story. And it's painful. It involves my making a confession. I, Joseph Rollins, was once involved in a scam. Oh, yeah. I'm just going to tell you. And it wasn't Mormonism. It wasn't far from Mormonism. It's increasingly more and more like Mormonism. But some years ago, I met a man. Up until recently, I made videos for network marketing companies, also known as MLMs. Some of them more reputable, some of them less. I dropped out of film school, started working as a video producer at an MLM company that family had gotten me a job at because my whole family works in MLM, basically. And I was grateful for the job. It was a decent job. It got to be really wild and hairy. And before I knew it, I hated this job, even though it was with a company that turned out to be a pretty good company. And then I hung my shingle, went out on my own, and became an independent video producer. And I've done that for most of my life. Along the way, when I was really low on work, and there were some droughts, when I first came to Utah, through some friends and associates, I met a man who started a website called myiraqi.dinar.net. I don't know how many of you are on the up and up in this, but right now, the MAGA world is on fire for Iraqi dinar. It started out with, after the invasion of Iraq, hey, metal folding chair, stranger, whoever you are. Iraqi dinar, after Iraq was invaded, their money, which was previously valuable, being tied to Iraq's energy assets, as I understand it, suddenly was worthless. And the projection of Iraqi dinar ever returning to having value was pretty much nil once the United States and allies, once NATO had invaded Iraq. And this guy had managed to get some carriers to go into Iraq and buy up all of the defunct Iraqi, as much defunct Iraqi dinar as he could, and run it out to Malaysia, Hong Kong, China, the Pacific Rim, and started and built these nice little folders, very fancy, had a graphic artist lay it out real fancy, real nice. And you could get this folder that would open up, and it had a really firm hardboard, cover. It looked quality. It did look quality. And it had these envelopes in it. And you could purchase this Iraqi dinar at much more than it was worth, which was not hard because it was basically worthless. And they started selling people not only on the dinar, which of course is a sound investment, very sound investment, as anyone can tell just by the description I just gave to you, because supposedly the promise was one day the World Bank and International Monetary Fund, etc., are going to relist Iraqi dinar at the value that it held before it was invaded by the United States. If you believed that, you were an idiot. There was no way that was ever going to happen. That was back in, but that didn't matter because most of the people who bought this Iraqi dinar sets, a set of Iraqi dinar currency, what they were really doing was buying into a pyramid scheme. And the idea was to go out and sell it to other people. You could do it with sponges that could do anything you could do. You've heard the story of the tuna fish. Man sells a man a can of tuna fish for $1, and man says $1 for a can of tuna fish. This joke is not as funny as it used to be with Trumpflation. I'm sorry, inflation. Sorry. And man says $1 for a can of tuna fish, and he says, "Well, not only is this the best can of tuna fish in the world, it's also a business." He sells it to a guy for $2, who sells it to a guy for $4, who sells it to a guy for $8, who sells it to a guy for $16, who sells it to a guy for $32, to a guy who says, "I screw a business. I want to know what a $164 can of tuna fish tastes like." Cracks it open, digs in a fork, plops it in his mouth, and it's gone rancid. Tries to get a return from the guy who sold it to him and said, "You opened it, you dummy," and forwards him back to the guy and says, "You got to talk to the wholesaler. You got to talk to the wholesaler. You got to talk to the wholesaler. You got to talk to the wholesaler," all the way back to the guy who sold it for $1 to begin with, who wags his head and said, "You ate the tuna fish? You dummy. This tuna fish is not for eating. This tuna fish is for selling." Iraqi dinar, same thing, same. All right. This guy comes to me one day and he says, "I want to start a new thing where we get people interested in buying up real estate in Washington County, Utah." And by the way, when I met this guy officially for the first time, he had just gotten back from having his ransom paid, because when he fled on the Iraqi dinar scam and took the money and ran, which is what you do with the pyramid scheme, the main investor, the main people who had lost the most money in it, sent guys out to kidnap him, and they held him in a swanky resort for like a few weeks, for like months, I think it was, and he was basically held for ransom. And he had just gotten out of that and apparently not learned his lesson, because he was already setting up this thing where you could get these Chinese businessmen to invest in a company in Utah that would buy up homes in Washington County, near St. George. And that as they would buy up, and that some of these homes were in areas that were marked as opportunity zones, I believe. And that basically, if you invested in them, you could get greenlit through, with the ES whatever visa. Basically, you could get greenlit for a visa to come to America. It's like buying your way to American citizenship. And he wanted to set this up and basically have all these people go out and basically pyramid scheme sell it. And I was like, this is the dirtiest thing I've ever been pitched in my life, and I have been pitched some dozers. I won't get into it. Anyways, that scam never took off the ground. And he came to me one day and he said, "Hey, he eventually paid me for that work. Not all that we agreed to, which I should have not been surprised. He said, "Hey, what about setting up like a Hollywood type thing?" And I was like, "Oh man, are you serious? Don't tempt me. You know that I know that you make a lot of money and that you raise a lot of money in these pyramid schemes, and that I need money to make my movies." And he's like, "Well, what if we did it?" And I said, "Okay, here's how we would do it. I would go to people who have money, and I would say, look, this is how money is made in Hollywood, independent films," and I would give comps. So it would show comparable films have been made for this amount of money and made this much money. But he said, "This is boring." I was like, "Well, yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody. And it's a risky business. The reason why I've not been successful at raising money for films is because this is stupid risky. And if you ask me point blank, will your movie make millions and millions of dollars? I cannot look you in the eye and say yes, because frankly, good movies fail." And I said, and it's a numbers game. You got to invest in a whole bunch of them in order to diversify. And he's like, "No one's going to buy into something like that." I'm like, "You're telling me, so why are we even talking?" And he said, "No, here's what we do." And he sold me on this. And basically, this is the plan we came out with. And I went, "I don't know. Do you think this would actually work?" And he's like, "Yeah, it would." And he said, what we'll do is we'll fly you to Hong Kong. You get up. I said, I don't speak Chinese. He said, no one cares. They all speak English there. I was like, oh. He's like, we're going to fly you to Hong Kong. You stand up there and you say, I'm Joe Rollins. I am the main Hollywood guy you don't know makes all your movies. I was like, okay, that's a lie. He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, right, go on. And he says, and you're going to stand there and you're going to say, I am a Hollywood fixer. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, you tell me. I said, well, it's like a script. You could be like a script doctor. And he's like, what's that? I said, a script doctor, you basically shell out a whole bunch of money to some big name screenwriter, and they write a screenplay, and it's shit. It's absolute garbage. You hire a person who's an expert in the formulaic screenwriting process to come in and rewrite the screenplay, but usually with a contract that says that you're not going to we're never going to credit you we're going to credit this other guy for having written the story. I was like, rumor goes there are people who do that in every aspect of filmmaking. Like your director gets drunk one day and has to go into rehab, so you send in a guy to basically second unit but main principal photography the rest of the film, and nobody and it's just understood with everybody, nobody's going to mention that this other guy came in and finished shooting the film because the director had to go into rehab, whatever, something like that. The Bond company moves in and says, you got to finish this movie, and this actor has gone AWOL, and but you still have to deliver the picture on time, so they get some guy to come in who's normally a stand-in, and they like replace his face with the main actor's face, something like that. I'm like, there's always rumors going around that there are things like that happen in Hollywood. I'm like, I could go in there and say that I'm Joe. I'm the guy who saves a movie, comes in and saves a movie when it goes tits up. Sorry for the phrase. And he goes, perfect. I was like, who's going to believe that? He says, they don't care. At that point, it's all about selling the pyramid. I'm like, so we're just calling it a pyramid? He's like, yes, because at that point, all these people, they're not looking for a legit deal. They're looking for the next pyramid scheme. And I was like, you're paying for this ticket to Hong Kong? He's like, oh, yes. And he's like, I'm paying for a Rolex, too, because if these people see that you walk in with your little Casio, he's like, and I'm like a fake Rolex. He's like, no, real Rolex. He's like, we're going to get you some nice silk suits. We're going to get you hooked up, and you're going to be the guy. You're going to be this guy. You're this Hollywood guy. I'm like, you give me a fake name. He's like, no, they're going to figure out that they will figure out. I was like, oh, this is my actual name. One of the people who is a mutual associate of theirs is my dad, who pulls him and me aside one day in his car. He's like, I want to take both of you out to dinner. We went out to dinner, and on the way back, he sits and he parks the car, turns it off, looks at me and said, the hell are you doing? I said, what? He's like, are you talking about starting a pyramid scheme? I'm not talking about starting a pyramid scheme. He's talking about starting a pyramid scheme. I'm just talking about getting a Rolex and some nice silk suits and maybe a trip to Hong Kong. And maybe get my movies made. And he's like, you really think that's going to happen? I said, no. But it was nice to talk about for a while. And that's what my dad said. Whatever inkling you had in your head that any of this was going to happen, let me shut it down. Not my son, not our name. It's not happening. I said, all right, fine. I almost got a trip to Hong Kong. Anyways, this is the story. I wasn't really going to do it. I might have gone to Hong Kong and then just blown the whole thing up, because what's the guy going to do to me? I can tell people I can tell people where he is and have him kidnapped. And so, anyways, somebody just joined my room named 666 Shooter. Tell me who you really are in the comments before I pull you up into the thing. Anyways, because here we advocate for the devil. We don't cause the devil no harm. Anyways, long story short, along comes Melanie Hines. That's this gal. Hold on, let me pull her up.
Hey, they're going to ban.
This woman, I come to find out recently, she is all about Donald Trump, conservatism, holy war. Well, I don't know about holy war. I recant on holy war. And Iraqi dinar. And I went, oh my gosh, I know these people. And basically, I've started kind of low-key contacting her, so nobody talked to her about it. I've emailed her to find out what the story is. And basically, she sells MLM products. There's a big surprise. And then she also talks about how Iraqi dinar is going to make a comeback. Remember I said you have to be an idiot to believe this? Well, she's found them. They are out there, and she has this network of people who are paying her to advise them on their financial investments. Frankly, it is, I think there is a good case to be made here that what this woman is doing is freaking illegal. Okay? Right. And this is her after this week. Okay, so today, Donald Trump signed into law a law called the Genius Act, I believe. As my understanding is, effectively, what it means is that basically between the United States markets, the United States banks, and European banks, they're standardizing cryptocurrency and the value of cryptocurrency across borders. And it's going to have widespread effect on cryptocurrency and how cryptocurrency is evaluated, and making it supposedly supposed to make it more stable. They're trying to bring in cryptocurrency into the tent of mainstream banking. They've been trying that for a long time now. It looks like they may actually have made it happen. And right now, basically, all these people who have bought Iraqi dinar through this woman have been panicking, because all of the prospects are that now that, they're standardizing the trade of what is real currency and what is not real currency, our Iraqi dinar is going to go topsy-turvy.
Central bank digital coins, they're lying out there flipping teeth. They're just lying to you because they can't. In actuality, if you understand blockchain like I do, because God told me to understand it, they can't do that. They can say that all they want, but it is a stable coin. Whatever they decide to implement, the digital form within the banks, it won't matter to you. You won't know it. It's going to happen. It's an eventuality, and you won't even know it. So why do you care what the banks do with your money as long as you can spend it like a dollar? And that's my case. Now that the banks want to hold crypto, they do that because it's smart.
So, did I say we needed to take breaks to laugh? Melanie Hines, you guys gotta watch her stuff. It's funny as hell. She has days where things get bad. She had this one, so she's all about Jesus, right? And so, okay. And she's basically a prophet. And these people are investing in her Iraqi dinar because she's gotten revelations from God where she allegedly that she can see that this Iraqi dinar is actually going to pay off. And you're not crazy for thinking that it's going to work. And she's making money hand over fist at this, as far as I can tell. Again, as far as I can tell. I contacted her saying the only way to get into her little group is to email her at her Yahoo mail address. That's when you know you definitely have crossed out of mainstream commerce. Get into my investor group, you have to send me an email to my Yahoo address. That's sus. That's sus. So I emailed her and said, you were spot on. I am so grateful for the Lord for bringing your information into my life. Praise Jesus. I got to get in on this Iraqi dinar game. And she sent me back the wildest email. Imagine an email written by this person. That is the email. Okay, friends, this email is something. Should I find it? I mean, if I come up with Melanie in one quick search, I will show it to you. Well, there it is. Okay. How to do this. I'm going to see if you guys see something that you shouldn't see, just forget that you saw it, right? Okay, here, I'm going to show this to you. You got to see this email. I wasn't going to do this. You got to see this email. Okay. This is an actual email. Whoops. Melanie sends me this from her Yahoo address. So grateful you found me at this time. It is truly my honor. Here's the info you requested. 100 heart emoji, explosion emoji, down emoji, heart emoji, heart hands emoji, letter heart, clock, rainbow, star exploding, strong arm, 100, heart, burning heart, double exclamation emoji. 3 steps is the first package below and is $55. Details of all are below as well, just in case. Each of the strategies below is $50 by itself or $111 for 2 of them and $167 for all 3 of them. Just please email me at iamhappy77@yahoo.com to let me know how you paid me. Include app, name of payer on that app, and date you paid, and which strategy or strategies you want. Hi, all details are below. Pricing is as follows. Who is buying from this person? Look at this email. It's disturbing. Like, did I find what I was looking for? Yes. Was it how I thought? Yes. Am I relieved? Kind of. Am I happy? I don't know. I don't know, Melanie. I know I emailed you back and said, oh, I have to pay $55. I have to pay to get into the club that finds out whether or not you're allowed to get into the club. Clever, Melanie. You're going to run a scam? That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it, sir. I was just like flabbergasted. I mean, so I've been following this woman's stuff for a while and some of the other things because I'm doing this new series called right. Yeah, MB. Apparently, I am desperate to throw my money away. Send me emails saying that you will sell me things, but I have to contact you to tell you how I paid you and what I paid you for. This woman is a gem, and she pays. But then, like, and then on like a random Friday night, she will be stressed out. Oh, I was going to tell you this. So there's this. Apparently, there was a banking error in her favor, worth a lot of money, and she went on YouTube to talk about it, which you don't do. If you've ever played Monopoly, if a bank commits an error in your favor, you keep it between the two of you. Friend in the group, I'd love to bring you up, but I don't want to bring you up if it's going to be distracting. If you're a friend of mine, please put into the comments somewhere some hint that we know each other. So that was just a quick break and a little story. Now let's talk about Alex Jones.
We've believed in you. We've seen you do great work. We've seen the bad guys, the worst certified people on earth, come after you. And now we've seen you uncharacteristically flip-flop on your promises, back and forth. There was no
uncharacteristically. I was shocked. It's almost like you can't believe things Trump says. It's almost like that. And boy, the topsy-turvy world we live in.
case. There's nothing to see here. Okay, it is there. We're going to investigate it. We're going to put in a special counsel. No, there's nothing there. Anybody investigating it is fake news and is a traitor. When your most loyal supporters and good people are the ones pointing this out.
Good people, loyal people, not anymore.
I believe in you. We want to support all the great things you're doing. We see Tom Homan and what ICE is doing, saving all the kids. We see Kennedy moving against Big Pharma, having huge successes. And then we see the DOJ overriding it and trying to keep fluoride in the water and trying to bring out mRNA shots. And so a lot of people, when Trump was about to win and then was president-elect, said out.
It's like He put down a skunk with this hand and then took the porcupine he's got strangling and he's been strangling in this hand, started hitting himself with the quills. It's like, what? You almost had it. You almost had it, sir.
Naive. It's a sellout. You can't trust him. David Icke, so many others. David constantly criticizes me every day, but won't come on the show and debate me. And I said, look, I don't think Trump's perfect, but obviously this is better than what we had with the globalists before. Then I have to ask the question,
How?
were they right? And, they gave at least 10 million fake votes to Biden in 2020. And then those fake votes didn't really show up this time. And, was a deal made? Maybe after they tried to kill him in Butler and it failed. They said, this guy's too big a martyr. We can't do it. I don't know. Trump's always been a loner, though. He's never really been a joiner. He's never really worked in their system. That's why they hated him. And
why? Even in the, hey, why did you turn your back on me? Why get down on your knees at the end of it, Alex? This cheapens the whole thing, man. We're sitting here rooting for you that you might actually grow a conscience. Little secret. That's a little tongue in cheek. That's a little facetious. We do not. We know exactly what you're doing. You're trying to save face. And you're trying to pretend like you haven't been lying to people all of this time. That the thing that you sold them might still pay off. And then to have to get down on your knees and say, but you are doing a good job, though. I'm not saying you're not.
that's why I've got to have integrity. Once something's absolutely clear, I've got to go ahead and say it. So I don't apologize for supporting Trump. All that he did, it was good before.
No, naturally.
And all that he's done good since.
No, of course.
But it was very easy to be a purist and defend him a few months ago when it was 95% good or more. Now it's, like I said, moving quickly into the bad territory. And I mean, the trajectory we're on is moving so quick. In a couple of months, you'll be as bad as Kamala would have been. And so I'm trying to put the brakes on that and hoping to put pressure on so we can change that. But President Trump,
I'm sorry. Do we have to bring Kamala into this? It's not her name. She's got nothing to do with this. Why drag her into this? My name is Kamala. She's not my favorite either. But why you got to drag her through the mud on this? She's got nothing to do with it.
I think that all of this good is happening because of you. That's crazy. You think you're in control? No, God is in control.
Obviously.
And if you think your constituents are like Democrats, no, the vast majority are not. They understand.
Can I just say how grateful I am to be living in this day and age, knowing that Yahweh has the reins. Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. Obviously. Perfect,
but they understand that the globalists didn't like you and were attacking you, and you were doing so much on so many good fronts.
The globalists.
So I have to say at this point, if you look at the scales here, whether it happened a year ago or 6 months ago or a month ago, stuff really started to change when Elon left with what he discovered. And I think it has a lot of credibility to what he said. That Trump's implicated here. I'm not saying sex abuse of kids, but definitely somehow, maybe somebody close to him. That's what I've been told. That you are compromised.
Did you see how close? Did you see how close he came to saying it? It's like it. It's like the band playing on the poop deck of the Titanic, and you sit there waiting for a lifeboat you're not going to get on. Turned to the people next to you and went, I bet there are icebergs out there. I bet you there are. Wouldn't surprise me if one of them was dangerous.
And if you go with the deep state and continue down this road thinking they're going to leave you alone if you just work with them, you can already see how whatever deal you made is destroying you in lifetime. The cover-up is even worse than whatever would have come out. So I'm loyal to the truth. I'm loyal to the idea that I know is true. The devil's greatest trick was not convincing the world he didn't exist. That was the second biggest trick. His biggest trick was convincing.
Alex, everybody just stop up your ears. Alex, come here. One broadcaster to another. Come here, come here. When you're talking about Jeffrey Epstein and things you don't suspect that Donald Trump may have, don't suspect, quoting a Kevin Spacey line from The Usual Suspects. Don't quote P. Diddy songs. Don't quote R. Kelly songs. Don't quote Michael Jackson songs. Don't quote fucking Kevin Spacey. Don't. No. Just drop it. Drop it. Don't do it.
The world good didn't exist. And I know I'm good. I know I care about freedom and justice. And
as do we all, Alex. As do we all. I mean, if not that, if it is a world where Alex Jones is not knowing of his goodness and all of us not knowing of his goodness, in that world, let us not live. Let us not live. Right? We'll all get this. We'll all get the Nikes and the purple fabric. There's nothing left in a world where you can't trust Alex Jones anymore.
my crew does. I know our listeners and viewers do.
And now he says, if you're not on board.
Well, we're not ready for that. We're not ready for you, Nick Fuentes. Into the wings with you, sir. Friends, we're coming to the close of our 2 hours. And I have enjoyed this with you so far. And I'd love to share with you that Nick Fuentes was triggered just to bring a little light on your heart at this time when we've learned that even Stephen Colbert apparently is getting fired because even the people who make Star Trek movies are MAGA and think that propaganda and information control is in everyone's best interest. So I just, in that day and age, that poor Alex Jones and Joe Rogan, etc., because there are many, are having to deconstruct their red-hattedness over Jeffrey Epstein. It is good. It is good. It brings joy. It sheds sunlight upon the heart. And now Nick Fuentes, who I will remind you is has this to say to President Trump. And thank you, Nick Fuentes. Words I never thought I would say. God bless you, Nick Fuentes.
The Epstein cover-up. Oh, I don't want your support. You're a weakling. Fuck you. Fuck you. You.
Do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
Pushing back on his.
Oh, shit. No, too far.
Support. You're a weakling. Fuck you. Fuck you. You suck. You are fat. You are a joke. You are stupid. You are not funny. You are not as smart as you think you are. You are, and honestly, and if you watch my show, you know I've been very critical. I've never been this far. This just goes to show this entire thing has been a scam.
Don't say it, Nick. Nick, don't say that. The whole thing? Don't say it, Nick. Don't break my heart. Alex Jones is having a nervous breakdown over here.
Back on the history of populism in America, we are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history.
No. Stop. You stop it, Nick. You stop it. You're really scaring us here. What are you saying? What are you saying, sir?
Girls were right. The MAGA supporters were had. They were.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that. And I can't tell if I can't tell if I reached Xenu level in Scientology or if I threw up a little in my mouth. It feels similar. I may have Kundalini'd. I may have achieved oneness with the universe right there. Nick Puente, say that again.
No, I've been very critical. I've never been this far.
Mm-hmm.
This just goes to show this entire thing has been a scam.
Don't say that.
When we look back on the history of populism in America, we are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history. And the liberals were right. The MAGA supporters were had. They were. When we look back in history, we will see Trump as a scam artist who served as a vehicle for this rather than the other way around. We were not the vehicle for Trump. Trump was the vehicle for all of us.
I think this.
I was enjoying that, Nick. Why you gotta rain on my parade, man? Why you gotta harsh my mellow? I was enjoying this. The liberals were right thing. Even I don't want the liberals to be right. I'm just about the most progressive guy you've ever heard of. I don't want the liberals to be right. Those has-beens. I mean, they had their chance. It's like, and I was enjoying it though. You know what? Yeah, sure. Okay, give it to the liberals. I'm not conservative. I'm progressive, which means that the liberals are not far left enough for me. But it's like, and then you got to go and say something that, is that true? I mean, is it that he didn't use them? They were using him. 6 months ago, that wasn't true. I firmly believe it. That wasn't true. But all along, yeah. Since long before this, there are people who looked at this, and I've met some who held their nose and said, I don't like Trump. I don't like MAGA. I don't like these things these people say. I don't like the things these people do. I'll just do anything to get fill in the blank. And there are people who just don't care. They don't care what he has done. If the worst suspicions about the Epstein files and Trump are true, they don't care. They figure, well, that's happening whether I know about it or not. It's happening anyway. And but it is that important to see a change in capital gains tax. It is that important to see that they get tariffs raised on their competitors' products. It's that important to them to see that abortion rights are curtailed. It's that important to see, and I maintain this is part of their agenda, to see gay rights, to see marriage equality overturned, to see that gay people are persecuted in the military, in the public square, and in every aspect of American life. I believe fully and fundamentally, from conversations I have heard and participated in, and people who will outright tell you the truth. And then you go out there and see what the same actors who are involved in this movement. Now, this is where I wax a little conspiracy theorist. You look at what happened in Uganda. There's laws on the books in Uganda that you can be punished if you don't turn in somebody else for being gay. And they want that here. There is a force at work here. Do I think that Donald Trump goes to bed at night and thinks, I'm going to put those people in power? No. I'm not that big. I'm not that big of a believer. But do I think that he doesn't care what happens as long as he and a small handful of people, connected people, get what they want? And he doesn't care that what happens in that regard? Yeah. And I think there is a level of Donald Trump that is a pragmatist. I think there is a level on him that says, I'm not going to be around forever. I'm going to see that I got the last laugh on this. I think that this week, if anything, we have, well, that's not untrue. And sorry, MB. Yeah. I want to highlight that comment. I'm not going to, though. They want it to happen, and he wants to get the last laugh. And so far, he's made it. And if there's anything we learned from this week, it's that he now officially doesn't care if his supporters figure out that he was conning them the whole time. If they find out, he doesn't care, because he knows that he knows from last time that he can't be removed by impeachment. That in America, we just don't do that. We don't remove presidents. We don't remove anybody, frankly, by impeachment. And he knows he can do whatever he wants. And now when he can even flex his political muscle and get a whole network absorbed into the control of somebody who has his agenda and is willing to make sacrifices like Stephen Colbert, just to appease him, just to assuage his wounded ego. What isn't going to happen next? What's not going to happen tomorrow? And that's why we laughed all night, because if we think about it too long, you'll have to cry. So I love you guys. Keep your head up, keep your chin up, and remember this, okay? Nobody lives forever. And that includes you and me. And the precious time we have left in this world, we can choose to think global, act local, and turn around and say, I obviously can't affect change nationally. I obviously can't affect change globally. I can affect change here in my neighborhood. I can affect change here in my family. And nobody else has to agree with my beliefs in order for me to do it. My beliefs are that we can do something good. I know it's not Sunday, and I'm sorry to sermonize at you. But sometimes, that's all right, MV. I liked it. Sometimes you've got to reset and go back to core principles. And remember that just because other people are inconsistent in their values, or their values are built in hate, does not mean that we are better off by resorting to the same. And I truly believe that. And if it means that I am a fool, then that is what I am a fool for. I love you guys. I'm going to see you on Sunday. We're going to go back to sermonizing. And, oh, damn it, Matt. Why didn't you say something? Anyways, it's good talking to you guys. And I will see you on Sunday.